Hello again SGBers, I'm Companion Wolf with another Smile Game Builder tutorial. I'm revisiting the campsite idea from tutorial number 59, but it's being updated and expanded quite significantly. As before, the basic idea is to create various campsites which are dotted around the land so that the party can rest and heal and interact with one another, perhaps in between traveling and grinding or before boss fights. This is going to be a multi-part tutorial spread out over the course of several videos instead of trying to cram everything into a few videos only, which was the problem with the intended previous campsite series. So this way the campsite system can evolve more naturally and dynamically. Now, I know I haven't uploaded any tutorials for quite some time. The last proper one was number 60, which was on music and sound, and was uploaded in January. That makes it around 6 months ago at the time of this video, since the last actual official tutorial. I'm not going to delve into the reasons for this hiatus. That will probably be reserved for another What's Been Going On video or a blog post at a later date. Before I begin the tutorial proper, I'd like to mention that I now have a Subscribestar account which you can visit from the link in the description. The reason I set this up is actually multi-purpose, with the primary goal being to generate a more steady income stream outside of work so that I can focus more on game development in general, which includes the tutorials of course, as well as having the time to actually create and produce games such as my current SGB project Conflux. It's not fully fleshed out or developed yet and doesn't have too many posts because it's a fairly new account and it's still kind of finding its direction, but that will change over the next few weeks when I start updating with regular content. As always, you can keep up to date on Twitter and Facebook and the blog, and join the SGB Discord if you haven't already. One final note before going to the campsite proper. I did a live stream on this since recording the original official tutorial video. It couldn't happen. I don't know why. It just wouldn't upload, wouldn't record properly. I don't know. Perhaps it just wasn't the right time. But I decided to try again with live streaming it. But this video and its subsequent parts greatly expands on that idea and goes into much more detail on building a fully immersive campsite for you to use, tweak and play in your games. The first thing we will set up is the campsite area. This is an area on a world map where upon entering, the player is given the option to set up camp or not. When choosing to set up camp, the party is then transported to the campsite map itself. These areas should be strategically placed and few and far between so they're not overused. The campsite event is triggered by when the player makes contact with the event, and the react from even one step is checked. This is so that it will automatically trigger when the party enters the campsite area. If you keep react from one step checked, or even if you don't, you might be able to bypass it and freely wander around the area, but every time you bump into the event, you'll trigger the dialogue whenever you're within its range. You can of course avoid this scenario where the area is explorable by checking the player direction, but I'll cover that in a later part. So in the event details, you can display a message window. You've entered a campsite, set up camp. Simple as that. and then we have a display selection for yes and no. When yes is selected, we then transport to the campsite map, which I'll come to in a sec. It just basically leads to a separate larger map of the campsite area. Under no, we will walk 3 steps down, and the reason that I've put this here is to prevent the persistent dialogues I mentioned before. Since react from even 1 step is checked, that means that any movement within the 1 square range around this event will trigger the text and the choice dialogue over and over. And besides, we don't want to explore this map, we don't need to. So that's it for this one. The next map is, in this case, campsite 1, which we teleported to from the previous map. I think we end up roughly here. Incidentally, all of the terrains that I've used and will use in future tutorials are from my High-Tech's Assets Megapack range. In this case, the terrain that I have used is the Megapack 1 for the ground terrains. This is available for purchase from the Gnome Treasure Store and on itch. It costs $12.99, slightly more itch to offset certain fees. And Subscribe Star patrons or donators there will receive a 15% discount as well. Now the campsite model itself is from Animated Heaven from free3d.com. You can use it for personal use, but you can also use it commercially with credits. According to its blurb, I added the broth texture to give the model a bit more realism. It's actually a photo of some soup I cooked up, and then I just added it to the model. Those who attended the previous live stream featuring this will already know this. I also increased the size of the campfire so that it's larger than it should be, only because the bonfire event underneath consumed the entire pot, and this was the easiest, quickest, cheapest solution I could find for this tutorial. And on the website you will also see that the model will come with a tent, but I've used the one that was kindly created and donated by Sana from Smileboom some time ago. I've kept it because I really like it. Our next destination before we flesh out this part of the map is common events, where we are going to create rest events which sets up some random events during sleep. Its trigger is execute from another event, since we're going to call it shortly. Now the first command is a brighten darken screen. We can darken the screen for 0.5 seconds, and it's going to be easier to put it into the text form for this. We can set up a random number using the advanced variables, and in this case the random number will be between 1 and 4. Now checkbox variable, and we're using a local variable because the random number here will not be referenced outside of the event. So if this local variable is equals to 1, then we simply display a message, you didn't sleep well, or however you want to phrase that for a sleepless night. We will then add check party members for Sion first to see if he is in the party, and then if he is, then 50 HP and MP are recovered, and then add more for each potential party member. Even if the maximum allowed in the party is 4, you'll still need to include anyone who can become a party member. This obviously checks to see if they are in the party, and if they are, then do the restoration thing. So the next thing is check if the local variable equals 2, and if it is, you slept like a log. And then we have the full heal party command to restore everyone's HP and MP. Add another one, this time it's set to 3. This is where monsters attack during the night. Maybe they smelled that tasty beefy broth and just followed the scent. Or maybe they smelled human flesh. You can add a display text of monsters attacked. Or actually, come to think of it, you can omit this message completely and just kind of have no warning. You know, you go to sleep, then next thing you know, the battle turns and monsters attack. Either way, it will still work. So we apply a place of battle here, adding the monsters and the music and anything else. Leave these two options unchecked for now. And then we can change the background to a duplicate map. Where is it? There. It's the duplicate map of the campsite, but with all of the party members removed. And the reason this is necessary is because if you use the actual campsite map, that's this one, it doesn't actually show all of the events here. It just shows the graphics, but it'll be the same sort of thing. You basically remove all of the party members, because if you don't, then they'll all be duplicated. Every event will be duplicated, I should say. Adding a switch or something to make them all transparent before the battle or for the battle doesn't seem to work properly, or at least not the way it's supposed to. So this is just a sort of simpler, cheaper workaround. And you might want to change the center point and move the monsters around. By default, it will be in the center. So you move it just there because the tent would be here. Otherwise, they will end up on top of the campfire, and realistically fire burns and monsters would be set on fire too, making life much easier for you, of course, if they're standing on top of it and getting burned. And even if they're immune to fire, it just still wouldn't look right. So move it to wherever you want. So for variable 4, the last one is for an uneventful night, and once again the party is fully healed. Now right at the very end we'll put the following commands. Wait 0.1 second. This is actually to offset the transitioning effect. Otherwise what will happen is you'll see the player character exiting the tent before it fades back in from black for the sleep events. Make the player non-transparent and you walk 2 steps down, exiting the tent and appearing in front of it again, and make sure pass-through events is checked. And then you can play the music, in this case Emmy Lodging, it's a fanfare, or whatever fanfare music of your choice. And then you wait 7 seconds. This wait is the approximate duration of the music. If it's not set, then the screen will brighten almost immediately, but the music's still playing in the background and you'll be able to continue playing with it still running. I personally don't like it when it does that. It's a matter of personal choice. If you don't mind it, then this wait can be ignored, or you can remove these 2 lines entirely. And then finally you have to brighten the screen after 0.5 seconds. Now note that the way this is set up right now, if you have a monster battle, then afterwards the lodging music will play after the battle's over. I'll expand on the battle part in a later campsite tutorial, but if you don't want to wait for that, then you can simply put the wait, the make player transparent, and walk 2 spaces down and then place them underneath being victorious. And then what you will do, you can also probably add the brighten screen and add an end event one as well. So that way it will completely exit the event after the battle and it won't try to go through everything until it reaches the bottom. So back to the main campsite. We are going to add the main tent. Obviously I have done this already just for the tutorial. And what this is you'd obviously start off with a blank event with its graphic changed to the tent. So in the event details, we simply have a display selection with 4 options: rest, save, break, camp and exit. And then under the rest we would change this graphics event to the tent open, and then walk 1 space up, again making sure that pass through events is checked, and you wait 0.9 seconds, actually probably in between 0.8 and 1 second is about right. Make the player transparent, and then once again change the events graphics to close. This gives the illusion of the player entering the tent and the tent flap closing before him, or closing after him or her. And then we would call a common event the rest events we just created. Under save, pure and simple, displays save screen. Breaking camp, this is actually changed to the entry point of the map, and in this case it would be the desert southwest. And then exit, just leave it blank. That gives you the chance to chat with other party members first before returning to the tent. Oh, and with the break camp option, for now it's just going to transport the player to the original desert map outside the camping area, but in a future part I'll make this more dynamic for those who don't want to create a lot of separate maps for each campsite with a common event, and it'll automatically move the player to their corresponding campsite maps using map IDs and terrain templates. Now for each of the party members sitting around the fire, oh, don't worry about that. That's irrelevant. That's for something in the future. Anyway, each party member has their graphics changed to sedentary position, you know, changing the graphic, and then you would put them in a sit down or something like that. And a condition: Marie is in the party. Pure and simple. Oh, why did I cancel that? That needs to come out. Anyway, the next one would be Lisa, and it's pretty much the same. She's sitting down, and add the condition: Lisa is in the party. Now for Ignaz, I have done something. I've also added another sheet. It's the same way. Ignaz is in the party, but on sheet 2, Eldred is in the party. It's based on the principle that you'll have either Ignaz or Eldred in the party. Whichever one you choose, or whichever one you have in the party, will show up in this position. And this part is also open to expansion, so in a future campsite video I'll add to this as well, including the option to converse with party members with dialogues based on current location, quests, relationships, personal thoughts, random stuff, and so on and so on. Anyway, that's it for part 1 of the Campsite Revisited tutorial. I know it's a bit short, but I want to try to expand this as much as possible, and there's a bit more that I need to tweak before continuing on with this. So that will be in the Campsite's Redux part 2. If you found this video useful, give it a like and subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon next to it so you can be notified of when I upload new videos. Apparently the notification system here on YouTube doesn't always work, so you can always follow me on Twitter and Facebook for news on when a new video is uploaded. These tend to be a bit more reliable, and they're consistently updated. A copy of this video will also be uploaded to BitChute, because if anything happens to this channel, especially in the uncertain red pencil climate that has become YouTube, if it goes, then it's not coming back. It's pure and simple. Anyway, part 2 of the campsites Redux tutorial won't immediately follow this one. I'd like to continue with the live streaming SGB and producing tutorials on other topics first, and then come back to the campsites idea, developing and expanding it progressively over a more spread out period of time. And then that way, rather than doing the same thing over and over, we can have like a little bit of variety in between the tutorials. I am also planning on live streaming more often, like on a regular weekly basis, for sure once per week, maybe twice a week, depending on different things and projects. But some live streams will be more orientated towards Smile Game Builder and Skyrim, possibly Fallout 4 as well, which are two of my all-time favorite games, and unfortunately they're the only ones, among the only ones that I can successfully play and live stream. But I'll also live stream or try to other games too. And finally, that includes the excellent Hive Quest, which I've streamed before, with its new updates. It looks absolutely brilliant. I'm expanding my own treasure store, and by extension itch.io as well. The store will house the new merchandise I'm working on, plus the SGB assets, mega packs. All of this is going to take a bit of time, but it's being channeled towards the same place and the end goals, and that includes expanding the subscribe star for like much greater, more dynamic content. So just bear with me in this. It'll get done slowly but surely. If you'd like to donate something or become a monthly patron on Subscribestar for that some exclusive content and exclusive perks, it'll certainly help towards these goals, and every dollar helps towards these ultimate goals, to be able to focus on game development full-time and migrate to America. Donators and patrons will also be featured at the end of these videos and in my games to show my appreciation. Not in this video because I'm still working on the format this will take, but a big thank you to Stephen L, Flormore, Jinkor, Vlad S and Tina, my other half. Any links I mentioned in this video will be in the description below, and that about wraps up this tutorial, number 61, Campsites Redux Part 1. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Until the next time.